Okay, here we are. Hello,
Hello.
everyone.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, how are you?
Excellent. So we're here for another episode of our podcast, making the right move. And I have in the studio with me, Kola and Tinu Olasimbo. Kola is a mortgage agent, and Tinu Olasimbo is a realtor. We're pleased to be here with you. My name is Kayode Adekoya, and I'm a realtor as well. So let's go.
Hello,
Hello,
everybody.
everybody.
Hope this day finds you guys in good health, happiness, joy, peace, love.
Excellent.
Hi,
We are
everyone.
excited to be here.
Everyone. I hope the weekend is going well. So, to kick it off, today, the topic for today's podcast is planning your next move. And this was actually inspired by a true story, something that we just that came across my way this week, earlier on in the week. So I'll tell the story and then we can elaborate on that.
Okay.
So there's actually a family of well, two siblings basically purchased a property some years ago
Okay.
um, in the GTA, and they made the right move at the time. Talking about making the
Yeah.
right move, right? They
Yeah, they
made the
made
right
the right
move
move.
by purchasing a real estate property, a property,
Okay.
Okay.
right? They invested in real estate wisely. So they, but both of them had to be on the mortgage. So they came together, put finances together, and they owned the property on a 50-50 um, split basis.
Okay.
So 50% ownership each.
Okay.
Now they are at a point where they've decided to go, don't necessarily go their separate ways. They're still a family, but they've decided they wanted to have their individual dwellings, so to
Okay.
speak.
Okay.
So both of
So
them
okay.
uh, decided to list the property for sale. They
Okay.
had spoken with a realtor, and obviously they had gone ahead to put the property up for sale. But talking about making the right move and planning your next move properly, in my opinion, they were not ready for that move. They didn't plan properly because they reached out to me after the property had been listed already.
Right.
They reached out to me to discuss their mortgage options for them to be able to purchase individually.
Okay.
Now, upon reviewing their files
Mm.
individually and collectively,
Mm-hmm.
right? Two separate types of deals. Like they could potential, they had two options. They had an option, preferred option of buying two properties separately.
Right.
They've been able to bank some equity. They have some equity sitting in the existing property that they own
In the
together.
existing home.
The
Right.
idea was to sell that one, cash out, take out their equity, and then split it 50-50, and then try to purchase individually separate properties.
Okay.
Unfortunately, at this point in time, what they thought they could do, each of them would not even qualify to buy a property on their own.
On their own. So each
Their
person
own.
wouldn't be able to buy on their own.
Not based on
On their
the
current
information that I
situation.
was given to be for them to be able to qualify for a mortgage. Based on that assessment, they
Right.
cannot buy individually. So we even now tried to put them together because that was option two. Option two was for them to still come together but buy a bigger property.
So
Right?
still the same co-ownership structure,
Correct.
then buying a bigger one as opposed to
Exactly.
okay, makes sense.
Okay, purchase a bigger property, but even both of them combined right now cannot easily qualify to buy a bigger property like they want to.
Right. And
So
the
I said to
property
them, I
is
said,
already on the market for sale.
that
The
property is
existing
already on
one.
the market. which
Wow.
absolutely was not the right move for them, because
That's not the right move for sure.
yeah, talking about planning your next move.
Hmm.
And they said if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. I'm not saying they plan
Right.
to fail per se, but they just might end up in a situation where they've been homeowners and now they sell, they let go of that asset that they have, and they cannot, even with the funds in their hands, purchase the next asset. Now, they may end up having to rent. You
For
follow
some
me?
time. Yeah.
In which case, they made the right move back when they purchased that property,
Yep.
right? If you looked at their financial statuses at the time and whatever the case may be, and compare them to where they are today, they made the right move by buying that property.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Now, if
Because they most likely would have banked some equity as well.
100%.
Between then and now, right?
Correct. So, but
Yeah.
now moving from that position and having to sell that property to go rent, it's
Right.
like they had made 5 steps, moved 5 steps forward in life, but now they want to take 20 steps backwards.
Right.
Because yeah, we know what the mortgage deals are like today. They're not as they're more stringent, more tough rules are in place for you to qualify for a mortgage than it was some years ago.
Right.
And we don't know. I don't have a crystal ball. We don't know what the future holds. We don't know how easy it's going to be getting into a mortgage. So having to step out of a mortgage that if conveniently sustained,
Right.
and not being able to replace that real estate investment with something immediately after selling is not the right move. That's not well planned.
Right.
Anytime you own a real estate investment and you want to step out of it, be it a home or a rental investment, any real estate property you hold on to, the best move would be, if you have to sell, then you should be looking at a replacement. You should get better. You should keep moving forward.
Absolutely.
Other than letting go of that asset and there's no stand or no existing opportunity for you to even be in a better position than where you were before.
Correct.
So
Correct.
technically, what we'll be preaching today is, if you're in that kind of position, if you're thinking about selling a home, you should make sure that anytime you're selling and you want to purchase, before you decide to sell that property, make sure you have a proper assessment of your situation done, a holistic approach to it.
Correct.
Not just the fact that you're going into a market. Okay, the market will get, well, in the spring market, things are starting to get better. The weather is nice, so people are ready to start coming out. Buyers are more encouraged to come out. Sellers are more encouraged to list their properties for sale.
For sale.
If you're listing a property to be able to purchase another, you must have your situation properly assessed, right? I'm a mortgage broker, so I'm a mortgage agent. I will speak and preach that you talk to a mortgage agent.
It's
Yes,
very
you could go to
important.
your bank.
It's actually very
Go to your
crucial.
bank. You could talk to your bank. In this case, they had actually spoken with the BDM at the bank, and all he said to them was, "Oh, okay, no worries. When you sell, let's see what you can get out of the property you're selling, and then come back to me. Let's see what we can do for you." But that's not the best approach, because if you have sold and then you go back to that BDM in the bank and he says, "Oh, unfortunately, even with what you got out of this property, I don't think you can qualify for a mortgage right now."
That becomes
So
a
that
problem.
information,
Right there. Yeah.
correct, that information was up in the air and had too many holes that you could poke at it, because it wasn't something that was firmly decided, right? And you just let them go put that property up for sale? Nah. So if you're looking to sell to buy, always make sure the right moves and right channels are in place for you to be able to close on that next property for sure. Don't rush to put your property up for sale if there's no replacement opportunity or avenue set in place for you. It's not the right move. It's not the best move. Now, I would expatiate a little bit more, because in this scenario, the siblings have other things in place that did not work in their favor.
Right.
when you're looking to purchase a property, if you don't own a home,
Mm-hmm.
it's not in your best position to take on a car loan. Now, what that does is it further reduces your borrowing capacity for a mortgage.
Okay.
It may not affect you,
Well,
but the
well,
possibility is there,
right.
right?
But
So
what if I was just gonna ask you a question. So you said,
Yeah.
if you don't own a home yet, it's not the best idea to sort of like, get a car loan. But what if you have a car loan? Aren't you in a position where you can simply just sell the car and get out of that loan and then buy a home? Isn't that possible?
it's not impossible.
Yeah.
I deliberately said that it's not impossible because I'm not going to categorically tell you it's possible to just sell and get out of the loan. Now, when you purchase real estate, as you both know, 99.9% of the time, when you purchase real estate, over time, your investment grows, your portfolio grows.
Correct.
You end up having equity.
Mhm.
Right.
But that's because you've purchased an appreciating asset.
Correct.
When you buy a vehicle, when you purchase a car, it's a depreciating asset.
All right.
So
There you go.
the fact that you have a loan on that vehicle, right, and you're driving that vehicle, and that vehicle is getting older, does not equate to the fact that when you sell it, you have enough money to pay off your loan. And
So
that.
wait, so this is basically you talking about the book value and the real life value of the car at the time. Say for
Somewhat.
example, you want to get rid of it. The book
Exactly.
value is how much you're owing on paper, right?
Correct.
But the real life value is what the car is worth today when you're trying to
Correct.
get rid of it. Oh, right,
So
right.
let's just throw out numbers there. You purchased a vehicle in 2020.
Right.
It's almost 3 years old now, right? And at the time, you paid $25,000 for the vehicle.
Okay.
Now, that vehicle is 2 years old. You bought it, mileage was 10 kilometers, zero, brand new. And now today, even if you purchase a pre-owned vehicle, you buy, you drive, it depreciates. So you started with a loan of $25,000. 3 years down the line, you still owe, let's even say you owe $20,000, right? But then you try to get out of that loan, you want to sell that car, and the market value of that vehicle today is $15,000.
Wow. So you have $5,000 in the hole.
In fact, that we call it negative equity. So yeah,
Right.
it's equity, you still call it, but it's negative equity,
Negative.
right?
Right.
So because I do have some experience and exposure in the automobile industry as well. So you now have to, even if you must let that vehicle go at 15,000, for you to get out of that loan that is on the vehicle, you still have to cough up an additional $5,000 from your pocket to get out of it. And I'll paint another scenario to you. Why? Let me open up a little bit as to why a car loan negatively affects a mortgage application. Not all the time. If you have more than enough room, like if your
income,
debt service ratios are in line and you have enough capacity to still borrow what you need to purchase a home, to still give the bank a mortgage, right? Then you can proceed. And that car loan or your bi-weekly or monthly payments on the car does not affect your application. If you are in that scenario, good for you, go for it. But not every time, not everybody falls into that category. In fact, based on experience, majority of the time, most people fall into that category of that car loan being a negative on that application.
Yep, it would be a liability.
A liability at that time.
Right.
And I'll give you a very simple, basic arithmetic for that. If you're going in to borrow to give the bank a mortgage, most people say I'm getting a mortgage. It's actually not correct.
Actually giving, you're right.
You're giving the bank a mortgage. So you're giving the bank a mortgage, but you're getting a loan of, let's say you want to borrow $500,000 from the bank to purchase a property. Now you're giving the bank a mortgage of 500,000. You get approved for 500,000, but for every, let's just use simple numbers. Let's assume that for every $100,000 you need to borrow towards a mortgage,
Yeah.
comes down to a monthly payment of $400. Don't hold me to that figure. I'm just throwing out numbers.
That's fair
Let's
enough.
assume it gives you a $400 payment for every $100,000 you're borrowing. So somebody that is taking a 500,000 loan, we can say, okay, 400 times 5, his monthly payment is probably 2,000, just as an example.
Fair enough.
Now, the minute you have a car loan, you bought a
Mhm.
vehicle for $25,000, and your monthly payment for that vehicle is $400. Also, again, just throwing out numbers.
Yep.
All of a sudden, because you took a $25,000 loan, you have lost an ability to borrow $100,000.
Right. That makes sense.
Look at the difference in the weight of your payment. Because at some point in
But
time, during the review of your mortgage application, that payment becomes a factor because it's
Okay.
fixed. So it goes into your ratios calculation, it goes into your monthly potential, your expenditure, and it affects your mortgage application. All of a sudden, oh, dude, you have an obligation to pay $400 monthly towards your car payment. Well, indirectly, that has taken 100 grand from what you can borrow for a mortgage, and that's why it causes a problem.
Wow. Well, that's a big deal, man.
It is a big deal.
A lot of people don't actually know this,
Correct.
you know. And
But
a lot
that's
of
why
people-
we're here.
Yeah.
That's why we're putting this information out there for people to understand, and don't put the cart before the horse.
Right.
If you need to purchase a vehicle, if it's a need, absolute need and necessity, right, to go on a car loan, make sure you're in a position where you have the capacity to get rid of that loan when necessary. One. Two, maybe you don't necessarily need to take on that $40,000 loan. Maybe you should be taking a $20,000 car loan as opposed to a $50,000, $70,000, $80,000 car loan if you don't already own your home.
Right.
But if you have and you can manage to purchase a nice used vehicle that gets you from point A to B without necessarily taking a car loan because you have a bigger goal in front of you, right? To purchase a home, then you're in a better position to stick to that nice used car that gets you from point A to B, pay cash for it, right? And save towards buying your home. When you have purchased your home, you own a house, you can easily qualify for that car. You can go back and buy that brand new car.
Because
Would you say because the property is then looked as an asset?
Correct. You're even looked at as a better candidate when you apply for that car loan as a home.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
Then when you own a car, you want to apply for a mortgage. That's the other way around. It's the reverse.
Right.
The reverse is the
So
case.
it's basically doing the right thing at the right time.
Correct.
Basically,
Making the right move.
Yeah, there you go.
Right? So in this situation, unfortunately for them, when I looked at their file, my strong advice to them was to take that property off the market.
Okay.
Because their situation, their financial situations have changed between when they had that mortgage in their hands and what they are today, where they are today.
Right.
Significantly so as well. And that can happen to anybody. That can happen anytime.
True.
Life happens. But the funny thing is, they're still able to sustain that mortgage. And yes, coincidentally, they were hoping that when they sell their property, they have equity to split, right?
Between both siblings.
Between both parties.
Okay.
They both have some debt that they are looking to get rid of.
Okay.
They've used up their a good portion of their credit cards and lines of credit, right? And they're looking to kind of, permit me to use the word consolidate, right? Put themselves in a freer financial position.
Right.
But that can still be achieved without letting go of that asset. Right? Talking about refinancing.
So what you're saying is they could potentially refinance that existing property they both own, sort out their loans, and then buy
solve that financial burden that they have.
Yeah.
Do all it takes. Make sure before you let go of that asset make sure that you have explored all options to still be able to retain it regardless of your situation. Do
Yeah.
all you can, as if your life depends on it. Hold on to that property.
I
And if you
agree.
must let go of that property, you have to have a clear picture of how you are grabbing the next one. That is making the right move. That is planning properly for your next move. But I'm not saying that there are situations where, even after exploring everything, that person's best situation might still be to sell because, hey, life happens, things happen. But if that's not the case, then make sure that you have your plans in place properly. Seek information,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Google is everybody's friend, but in this case as well, some party had gone to Google certain things that
Google may not help.
the information revealed to this person was not enough to help them,
Yeah.
right? Absolutely inadequate in their scenario. But yeah, Google gave some answers that were not adequate. Let me put it that way. So, but on the real estate aspect, also, like, this is for you realtors as well, and to the buyers, to the clients, ask your real estate agents questions, probe, and is in the realtors. Yes, you have an opportunity to provide a service, right? Make sure you're not just looking out for your own pocket. Make sure that at least you're giving the client the best in that situation.
I think to the point that you just made now, that it's all about how much you care for your clients.
Correct.
And you find that, unfortunately, if a handful of realtors out there typically are sometimes, going about the trade, and they put their own interests before the interests of the client. They're not patient enough to assess that client's intended move. And they may not always give the right advice in terms of guiding them to say, you know what, if you're looking to purchase, you're looking to sell this asset, what's your plan? What do you intend to do afterwards? Okay, would like to buy. Okay, excellent. You'd like to buy. That's a good thing. You're letting go of one, and you're hoping to buy something better. But in that kind of scenario, you then need to understand how they're going to be able to make that next move, right? How are they going to buy? Are they qualified to buy? So
Correct.
rather than just going ahead, obviously it's a good thing if a realtor gets a listing, they'll be excited, and they'll want to put it on the market for sale. But at the same time, you should think the process through, on behalf of your client from start to finish. In terms of getting giving a mortgage, or the way we typically say it, getting a mortgage for the next purchase. What has been done to make that a possibility? And I think maybe that obviously, from what you're saying, those questions weren't asked. It's unfortunate.
Even if they were asked,
I would even
they were
say-
not well explored.
Right, because you just
Possibly.
mentioned they went to their bank to talk to their BDM.
Yeah.
And it doesn't look like the BDM even gave them enough information, because he suggested selling the property first,
Yeah.
and see what you come up with. Which is just throwing you out there. So what if you come up short? Then what happens next?
Yeah.
And I think to be fair with on the BDM as well, he's not seeing the full picture, right?
Well,
and that's
he
why
has the responsibility to see the full picture.
I
It's his
agree.
responsibility to ask and probe.
Yeah.
I agree. And that's
Yeah.
why sometimes it's also beneficial to speak to a mortgage agent, because then you get a bit more detailed. The mortgage agents will get a bit more granular, right? In terms of like seeking out information and trying to figure out, if all the ducks are in a row, But yeah, it's interesting. This is a very interesting, topic, and a very interesting story that you shared.
So talking about comparing a mortgage agent to going to the bank. Going to the bank is never a wrong thing.
Yeah.
But speaking with a mortgage agent could be a better bet for the client. And I give a reason for that. You go into a bank, you walk into Bank of Montreal, you walk into TD, and then you find a BDM that takes care of numerous files of mortgages, right? You bank with them, they know you, they have your profile, right? And the BDM looks at your situation, but unfortunately, you're in TD Bank, and the criteria for TD's mortgages you don't qualify for. That product that they can serve does not suit you based on your
Correct.
personal
Situation.
Then they tell you, oh, that's it. That TD BDM mortgage advisor cannot sell anything else to you other than what TD has to offer you or what
Right.
BMO has to offer you, right? But in the hands of a mortgage agent, we have access to a lot of lenders. When we slice the apples, we know precisely where you may fit in, right? So now, if I'm looking at a file and I'm like, okay, we have access to Schedule A banks, Schedule B banks, and then I'm like, oh, okay, this person's file will not get me to go to lender ABC, but I can go to lender XYZ because the ratios work here, the product that I'm getting here. And guys, don't be scared, man. Between the commercial banks, there's a lot of Schedule A banks today that are not commercial banks, that are not the big name banks that you know, but they are very competitive, if not sometimes offering better products than what even the big name banks are offering, right? Mortgage portfolio, we have access to some, not all the big name banks. We do have access to some of them through the mortgage broker channels, right? But still, you definitely will have a lot more access with a mortgage agent than just going specifically to a bank, unless you want to go from bank to bank to bank. And not all those lenders we have out there have those commercial locations or doors that you can walk into to talk to them. They only work via mortgage brokerages. So yes, please take that information. It is key. It's very important, very, very important.
And going from bank to bank to bank as well won't do much for you in terms of your credit situation.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Continuously, then you know that something's up.
Correct. And you might even get flagged.
So I wouldn't advise
shopping
jumping.
and all of that. Yep. Absolutely.
Wow, that's interesting. That's really, really interesting. Okay, so let's so what did you end up advising, these siblings to do?
Well, it sounded a little harsh, but that was just the fact of the situation. My first strong advice to them was to get that property off the market ASAP.
Okay.
Because they're not ready. Right?
That was a good suggestion for sure.
They're not ready for the next move. Right? So letting go of this one may solve some of their problems, but definitely not all.
Right.
And you don't want to be without that asset.
Exactly. At the end of the day, they're trying to consolidate debts. That's fine. That asset can still be held on to and still serve that function of consolidating your debt when you're not even prepped to grab the next asset. That's still okay. So, in other words, saying you want to eat your cake and have it, yes, you can, somewhat.
Okay.
Right? Okay. You could still have the consolidation done and own that property when you don't qualify to buy the next one, rather than let go of that property because you want to consolidate debt. And now you have to go rent a home. And even getting into the rental market, honestly, you guys, these people I'm talking about are going to have a very tough time even getting a lease in today's market, because the leases are so tough now. Correct me if I'm wrong.
It's very competitive.
Sometimes application for a lease may even be tougher than you applying for a mortgage in today's market. Right? So by the time a landlord or a homeowner looks at what their situation is today, they may not allow them access to that property, that next property that they really love and they want to live in, and they want to go rent. They may not even qualify to rent that property.
Yeah, they may not.
That's another topic entirely. that position is not a strong position at all. So my advice to them my first advice to them was to first of all take the property off the market. Then I've not had I've not been privileged to do this was just a preliminary review that I had with them. And honestly, in my first half an hour to an hour of talking to them, I could tell right off the bat that these guys are so not ready for what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
So in that situation, I personally, as a mortgage agent, I don't say no to any mortgage application opportunity. No. The question is, if you're not ready today, doesn't mean you cannot be ready in 6 months from now or a year from now. So you can plan towards when you are sufficiently in a position to go with that application and get an approval. Because hey, you can do an application all day long any day, but are you doing an application that you know or you are pretty positive is coming back to you with positive results rather than just throwing stuff up and hoping it sticks?
It sticks.
Right? So I would rather them, and that's what I advised. Let's delve deeper into your situation. I would help you nurse that ambition till when it actually can materialize, and they will be happier for it. It will be a better scenario for them.
I think the advice you gave them around, taking the property off the market makes sense. And one of the major reasons why is because, say for example, they decided to sell the property now and then wait to get themselves better prepared for a mortgage. Say maybe another 3, 4, 5, 6 months, depending on how long you think it will take. That could potentially be risky. And that's because they'll be selling in the market where, say for example, now house prices are relatively, we've seen a correction in house prices. So house prices are a bit more conservative now. And the expectation is that they may start to pick up, going forward. So if they were to sell now, they could potentially end up in a market where the market has moved against them, and they'll be buying in a market where house prices are much higher than when they sold. Correct. So in order to insulate themselves from that risk, it makes sense to hold on to that asset for now, carry it until they're actually ready to pull the trigger on the next purchase. So they sell in the same market environment. Right. And that just makes
sell in the same market environment that you're buying in.
Yeah.
So if you sell high, you buy high. You sell low, you buy low. Rather than sell low and buy high.
Exactly. That then becomes a problem.
That is a loss.
I mean, it would be nice to sell high and go and buy low, right? But
correct.
It's always hard to predict that. It's always hard to predict that. No one can tell. So this is really interesting. And we're just to speak about what's happening in the market right now. As much as there's been a correction, yes, house prices are conservative, yes, but we're beginning to see multiple offers again. I'll give you an example. Just about a week ago, roughly, there was a property that was listed in my brokerage. It was listed in Pickering, listed at 999. Fully renovated, a detached home, about less than 2,000 square feet. And this property had over 100 showings in 6 days. Over 100 showings in 6 days, about 18 offers, and it ended up selling for 260,000 above asking. That's crazy. So we're slowly getting back to the really, really competitive market, and for obvious reasons. Everybody knows we have a mortgage agent here with us. As far as rates are concerned, it's expected that rates are not going to move higher anytime soon. Is that correct? You can correct me.
So far, the statistics have it that we kind of have we should have some stability going forward, and that's why people are more comfortable to jump on mortgages now to come out there. It's like this is our new norm. So we don't expect any more increases in the rate. In fact, we're hoping that by the fourth quarter of the year into 2024, we may even start seeing some sort of decline in the rate, like some decreasing in the rate, as
Okay.
long as inflation is taken care of properly. So we don't expect any more increases. We should be stable for a while.
There you go. So
And that you definitely have people jumping into the market.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
exactly. So buyers obviously get more comfortable knowing rates are not expected to go up anytime soon, and everybody comes back. And what happens if the demand increases? Yeah, prices start to go up, competition starts again. So I mean, for anyone out there that's looking to purchase a home, the earlier you jump into the market, the better.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The competition is definitely coming back. Just to buttress that story you shared too. Um, uh, the one of the top guys in our brokerage, they made a decision in their family to sell his parents' home because
Right.
they needed to downsize. The parents own a very nice detached home, and they decided it was time for them to go into a condo and have less stress in terms of maintenance and all of that. They did an analysis of. He worked with a realtor. They did an analysis of the property, and they felt they were comfortable with a certain number.
Mm-hmm.
But just to attract more offers, they decided to list the property just $50,000 below their comfortable number that they thought was high. They thought that was a high number, but they're like, well, if we can achieve this, this is great. So they put the property on the market for 50 grand less than what they wanted.
Okay.
In 48 hours, they had over 50 showings.
There you go.
And 3 bully offers. They
Wow.
sold that property in 2 days for $380,000 above asking.
Whoa.
This happened last week. Today is Sunday. This happened last week.
Wow.
So yes, that market is slowly creeping back up.
It is creeping up.
And this, just to go back to that story, this is not the time you let go of a property and you cannot jump right back into the market.
Precisely. Excuse
me.
It's very important, because especially homes that are presented really well, they get a lot of interest, and people pay top dollar for them right now.
Absolutely.
I was at an open house today. We're literally queuing to get into the property.
That's coming back.
Literally. Yeah. Was that busy?
Summer market.
Yeah, was that busy?
Now we have more pre-approved mortgage clients,
Right,
than we had a couple months ago, right? People that we have assessed their files and we know they can qualify, we've kind of giving them indication as to where they fit in terms of purchase.
right.
But unfortunately, they're out there trying hard to purchase, and there's not enough supply.
Wow. It's the inventory right now is really low.
So yeah, you guys can speak to that. Like, hey, we have clients that are ready to buy and they cannot find.
There's nothing for them.
Yeah. So that shortage is also another reason not to take a rash decision or rush into. Yeah, plan that move appropriately. Plan your next move. Make the right move. Absolutely important.
That's absolutely essential. So I mean, we should, I think we should talk about, in our next episode, we should talk about how to help people that are renting currently move into their own home, because I mean, with the way house prices are now, that we've seen at least a conservative, a reasonable reduction in prices over the last 12 months. Obviously because of the interest rates mainly. At least homes are a bit more affordable now. Right. But it's unlikely to remain that way for a long time because all the features that make this market very robust haven't changed, right? So we still have a general supply issue, right? A major
Alright.
inventory issue. We're not building as many homes as we need to as a country. And we also have well, it's not an issue, but we also have immigration, right? We have
Constantly.
record immigration, which is excellent, right? But we're not building as fast as we have people coming in. So for that reason, house prices will continue to be, experiencing some upward pressure. Let's put it that way. So it's actually a very, very good idea to consider buying a home because quite a number of people out there are in the position that they can actually buy, but they don't know. They're
Correct.
not awake to the fact that they can buy. And also because they haven't set that goal for themselves, right? They haven't set that as an objective. For that reason, they're not actively pursuing it, right? So it might be a good idea to to have a conversation around that and see how we can encourage folks out there to jump on the home ownership ladder as soon as they can.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, looks like we're going to wrap up today's episode pretty soon. But I mean, I don't know if you guys have anything else you want to throw out there to our audience.
I would just like to chip in. Don't be discouraged, especially with the housing market in Ontario. We've said a lot today, and we're talking about how the prices are going up. They're probably going to keep going up. So that can be discouraging for some people. A lot of people might think, oh, how am I going to be able to afford to get in? But don't be discouraged. Even if you cannot live where you own where you want to live, we still advise to own. You
Exactly.
also can your property and rent your property out and rent where you want to live as long
Correct.
as you own something. So the idea is not that renting is bad, but that ownership should be number one when you're thinking about building wealth. Owning something in your name should be number one. And that way you're building wealth for yourself, for your family.
Yep.
And you can also always rent in the areas that you cannot afford to buy, but just own something.
Yep.
There's still places in Ontario where you can buy relatively affordable pieces
Yeah.
of property.
Absolutely.
So don't
Absolutely.
get discouraged. Oh, you live in Toronto, but you don't want to. You want to buy in Toronto, but you can't afford to buy in
Kind of
Toronto.
thing.
That's fine. There's other parts of Ontario. Go own a property in London. There are people who want to rent in London, and you can rent out to those people and make your money. You're still banking equity. You're still making your wealth while you're renting your wherever you want to live in
And that
Toronto.
could be a stepping stone to the actual property
The
you can
next
afford
one.
down the
Yeah.
line.
Exactly.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Just you're saving that way, and you can use that to own your property in Toronto someday.
That's
So
an excellent point. That's an excellent point.
don't get discouraged, guys.
So, but yes, like Kaide said earlier, the review of those that are renting currently, be able to get into that position of home ownership. Yeah, speak to a mortgage agent to assess your position, assess your file, because sometimes you don't know that you're ready, and you are. You talk to somebody, let them assess you, and be able to advise accordingly, right? If
Yep.
not, at least if you have that goal, set that goal, then you could work towards it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we're just going to wrap up today's episode. We'd like to, thank everyone for joining us. It's been
Thank you
great.
very
Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
Look
And
forward
we
to
look forward
seeing you
to
again.
we look forward
seeing
to
you. Enjoy the rest of the weekend.
absolutely. And the weather is beautiful out there today, man. So you guys go out there and have fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
Take
right.
care.
Yeah,
Thanks.
yay, spring.
Yeah.
Bye, guys.
All right.
Bye,
All
bye.
right. Cheers. See you next week.